They called her a cursed Omega and threw her into the forest for saving a dying wolf pup. But before dawn an army of black wolves appeared and bowed before her. Because the little wolf she saved was the Alpha King's hidden son, and the girl they rejected was not an ordinary Omega at all. She was the lost princess of the most powerful werewolf kingdom in history. And now the people who betrayed her are about to beg for mercy. Throw her out. The words exploded through the village like thunder. Rain crashed from the sky and turned the ground into black mud. In the middle of the pack square, Elara Vale knelt with blood on her lips and tears in her eyes. Her long silver blonde hair clung to her face, and her hands trembled around the tiny wolf pup in her arms. The little creature was soaked and injured. One of his paws was covered in blood. He looked up at her and let out a weak cry. Elara held him tighter. Everything had started only an hour earlier. She had been gathering healing herbs in the forest. The sky had been dark and the wind carried the smell of rain. Then she heard a sound. Small cry. Desperate cry. She followed it through the trees until she found a tiny silver wolf trapped in an iron snare. The metal had cut deeply into his leg. The pup was shaking with pain. Elara dropped to her knees. Her heart broke. Who would leave such a trap for a child? She touched his head gently. Do not be afraid, little one. I'm here. The pup looked at her with frightened blue eyes. Then slowly he stopped struggling. She opened the trap and pulled him free. The little wolf nearly collapsed. He was burning with fever. Without thinking, she wrapped him inside her cloak and carried him toward the village. She never imagined that one act of kindness would destroy her life. The moment she entered Moonshadow, pack people stared. Then they gasped. Then they shouted. That is not one of ours. She brought a rogue wolf. Get away from it. Within minutes the entire village had gathered around her. Their faces looked hard, cold, cruel. Then the crowd parted. Damien Blackwood stepped forward. Her heart skipped. Even now. Even after years of being ignored. Even after years of loving him alone. Her heart still chose him. Damien was tall and handsome with dark hair and sharp gray eyes. Every young she-wolf wanted him. But he was hers. Her mate. At least she thought he was. She smiled weakly. Damien, he is hurt. Please help me save him. Instead of answering, he stared at the pup. His expression darkened. Where did you get that wolf? I found him in the forest. You expect me to believe that? She frowned. Why would I lie? Before he could answer, another voice cut through the crowd. Alpha Serena Blackwood. The leader of the pack. The most feared woman in Moonshadow. She walked slowly toward Elara. The rain seemed to move around her. Her eyes narrowed. Where did you find that creature? Near the river. The Alpha looked at the silver pup, and suddenly all color disappeared from her face. For one brief moment she looked afraid. Then it was gone. She turned toward the crowd. That wolf belongs to the Northern Kingdom. The villagers gasped. The Alpha King's territory. An enemy. Elara blinked. I did not know. Does not matter. You brought an enemy into our home. He is only a child. He is not our child. The crowd began shouting. Traitor. Why? Enemy lover. The words struck her like stones. She looked around in disbelief. These were her people. She had spent years healing their wounds and gathering herbs for their sick children. Yet now they looked at her like a monster. The little pup trembled inside her arms. She stroked his soft fur. It is all right. But she was lying. Nothing was all right. Alpha Serena stepped closer. Hand him over. Whoa. The word escaped before she could stop it. The entire square became silent. Did you just refuse your Alpha? Elara swallowed. They will kill him. The Alpha smiled. Cold, terrible smile. You care more about this creature than your own pack. He is injured. Enough. Her voice echoed across the square. You shame this pack every day. You cannot shift. You have no wolf. You are weak and useless, and now you bring enemies to our door. Tears burned Elara's eyes. She lowered her head. Every word was one she had heard her entire life. Weak, broken, cursed. She hated those words. But tonight they hurt more. 'Cause Damien said nothing. Not one word. Not even for her. The Alpha looked at her son. Damien. A long silence passed. Juice. Elara's breath caught. She looked at him. Please. He met her eyes. For one heartbeat she saw something there. Regret. Then it disappeared. His face turned to stone. You betrayed this pack. Well, I saved a child. You chose him over us. The crowd waited. Rain poured around them. Elara could hear her own heartbeat. Then Damien spoke the words that shattered her world. I, Damien Blackwood, reject Elara Vale as my fated mate. The pain came instantly. It felt like claws ripping through her chest. She screamed. She fell to the ground. A crack echoed deep inside her soul. The mate bond broke. Tears streamed down her face. She looked up at him in horror. His eyes looked empty. Because I never wanted a weak Omega as my mate. Silence. Then someone threw a stone. It struck her shoulder. Another hit her forehead. Blood ran down her face. The crowd exploded. Throw her out. Traitor. Monster. The little wolf cried in fear. Elara curled around him to protect him. Nobody protected her. Strong hands grabbed her arms. They dragged her through the mud. She fought to hold on to the pup. Please stop. Nobody listened. The gates opened. Cold wind rushed inside. Then they threw her outside the pack borders. She hit the ground hard. The gates slammed shut behind her. Everything became quiet. The storm seemed louder now. Elara lay there for a long moment. Broken. Rejected. Alone. Then something warm touched her hand. The little pup. He licked her fingers. She looked at him and tears filled her eyes. You still trust me? The tiny wolf gave a soft cry and rested his head against her chest. A sad smile touched her lips. At least one soul in this world still wanted her. Then the forest changed. The wind stopped. The rain seemed to hold its breath. A long howl echoed through the darkness. Ancient. Powerful. Another answered. Then another. Then dozens. Elara slowly looked up. Golden eyes appeared between the trees. 1 pair. Then 10. Then 50. Massive black wolves stepped from the shadows. The ground trembled beneath their paws. At their center stood the largest wolf she had ever seen. His fur was black as midnight. His golden eyes burned like fire. He walked toward her. Toward the injured pup. Toward the rejected Omega. Elara could not breathe. The giant wolf stopped only a few feet away. Then slowly he lowered his head. And bowed. The little wolf suddenly lifted his head. His blue eyes shone. Then he whispered in a tiny human voice. Father. And the giant black wolf began to transform. The giant black wolf began to change. Dark fur disappeared. Massive paws became hands. A towering man stood before her. Rain slid down his broad shoulders and long black hair. His golden eyes shone like fire in the night. He wore black armor marked with silver symbols that Elara had never seen before. Power rolled from him like thunder. The wolves behind him lowered their heads. Even the forest seemed to bow. The little pup in Elara's arms suddenly smiled. Father. The man dropped to one knee beside them. His hard expression melted. Rowan. The tiny wolf reached for him. The man gathered the pup into his arms and checked his wounded leg. His face darkened. Who did this to you? Hunters. The child pointed at Elara. You saved me. Silence fell. The man's golden eyes slowly lifted to Elara. She felt her breath catch. No one had ever looked at her like that. Not with anger. Not with pity. Not with disgust. He looked at her with something else. Something she could not understand. You saved my son. His deep voice sent a strange shiver through her. She blinked. Your son. The man nodded. I am Kael Draven. Her eyes widened. Alpha King. Every child in the kingdom knew his name. The ruler of the northern lands. The strongest wolf alive. The king who never smiled. The king who had won every war. And right now he was kneeling before her. Fear rushed through her. I did not know who he was. I only wanted to help. For a long moment Kael simply looked at her. Then he spoke softly. Kindness without reward is the rarest kind. Nobody had ever called her kind before. Her throat tightened. The little prince reached toward her again. I want her to come with us. Kael looked at his son. It is dangerous. To save me. The child wrapped his tiny arms around Elara's neck. Please. The warmth of the small body made her chest ache. She had lost everything tonight. Her pack, her mate, her home. Yet this little stranger still wanted her near. Kael stood. You cannot remain here. She glanced toward the village gates. They will not let me back inside. No. They will not. The words hurt because they were true. One of the black wolves stepped forward. My king, the storm grows worse. Kael looked at Elara. Come with us. She froze. Go with the Alpha King. Leave everything behind. She looked toward the dark village one last time. Nobody came for her. Nobody opened the gates. Nobody cared. A tear slipped down her cheek. There was nothing left for her there. Slowly she nodded. I will come. The prince smiled brightly. The wolves moved at once. One of them brought a black cloak and wrapped it around her shoulders. Another handed her warm water. They treated her like someone important. Felt strange. Almost unreal. The journey through the forest began. The rain slowly faded. Moonlight broke through the clouds. The black wolves surrounded her in a protective circle. No one had ever protected her before. She did not know what to do with the feeling. After a while Kael walked beside her. You are injured. Have had worse. He looked at the bruises on her face. Who hurt you? She hesitated. My pack. Something dangerous flashed in his golden eyes. Your own people did this. She lowered her gaze. I'm used to it. He stopped walking. Used to it. She immediately regretted her words. Nobody should become used to pain. But she had. For years. Kael stared at her as if trying to understand. Then his gaze softened. No one should suffer alone. The simple words nearly broke her. 'Cause nobody had ever said them before. Not once. The prince suddenly tugged on her hand. Will you stay with me? She smiled sadly. I do not know. I have nowhere else to go. Then stay forever. Kael almost smiled. Almost. The sight surprised her. Hours passed. Finally the trees opened. Elara stopped walking. Before her stood a palace. Silver towers rose into the sky. Thousands of lights glowed behind enormous windows. Waterfalls surrounded the castle walls. It looked like something from a dream. Her eyes widened. This is your home. Kael looked at the palace. She could barely speak. She had never seen anything so beautiful. Servants and guards hurried down the steps the moment they saw the king. Their eyes immediately fell on Elara, a human girl standing beside their king. Whispers filled the air. Who is she? Why is she here? The prince answered proudly. To save me. Every whisper died. People looked at her differently now. With surprise. With gratitude. A woman in a blue dress rushed forward and pulled Rowan into her arms. Thought I lost you. I am sorry, Aunt Lyra. The woman looked at Elara. You saved him. Elara nodded. Tears filled the woman's eyes. Thank you. She took Elara's hands. Thank you for bringing him home. Another strange feeling touched Elara's heart. Gratitude. Real gratitude. She had almost forgotten what it looked like. A servant approached. The healer is ready, my king. Kael nodded. Take the prince. Then he turned to Elara. You should rest. I'm fine. The moment she said it, the world tilted. Pain exploded through her body. Everything went dark. Strong arms caught her before she hit the ground. She opened her eyes for a second. Kael was holding her. You are not fine. Then darkness swallowed her. When she woke, the room was warm. Fire crackled nearby. Soft blankets covered her. For a moment she thought she was dreaming. Then she noticed someone sitting beside the bed. Oh. He had removed his armor. He looked less like a king and more like a man carrying too many burdens. You stayed. He closed the book in his hands. You had a fever. Nobody has ever waited beside my bed before. Something changed in his expression. Deep sadness. He stood and walked toward the window. Then perhaps they never deserved you. Silence filled the room. Then he suddenly asked a strange question. How old are you? 23. He became still. Very still. Why does that matter? He slowly turned toward her. Moonlight fell across his face. Because 23 years ago a princess disappeared. Elara frowned. I do not understand. Kael walked back to the bed. Then his eyes fell on her shoulder. The blanket had slipped. A small silver mark was visible near her collarbone. A mark shaped like a crescent moon. The king's face lost all color. Whoa. He whispered the word. Impossible. Elara looked down. What is wrong? Kael stared at the mark as if he had seen a ghost. Then he slowly lifted his eyes to hers. And for the first time since meeting him she saw shock. Absolute shock. Because he knew exactly what that mark meant. The room became so quiet that Elara could hear the fire crackling. Kael stared at the silver mark on her shoulder as if the world had suddenly changed. She pulled the blanket closer. What is it? He did not answer. His face had become pale. Almost afraid. No one had ever looked at that mark before. She had carried it her whole life. It was nothing more than a strange birthmark to her. She swallowed. Why are you looking at me like that? Kael finally moved. Slowly. Carefully. As though one wrong word might break something. Who raised you? The question caught her by surprise. An old healer named Martha. She found me in the forest when I was a baby. And your parents? I do not know who they were. A shadow crossed his face. Then he looked at the silver moon mark again. 23 years ago the silver moon kingdom fell. Elara frowned. I've heard stories. Everyone had. The stories spoke of a royal family that vanished in one terrible night. Some said they were murdered. Others said they escaped. No one knew the truth. Kael's golden eyes held hers. The king and queen had a daughter. Baby girl. She disappeared before the palace burned. Elara's heart gave a strange little beat. Why are you telling me this? Because the royal family carried a mark. A silver crescent moon. Exactly like yours. The room suddenly felt too small. Whoa. The word escaped her lips before she could stop it. That cannot be true. Kael said nothing. She shook her head. I am an Omega. Cannot even shift. Have no wolf. I cannot be some lost princess. Yet his expression did not change. Instead he walked toward a tall cabinet and opened it. From inside he took a small wooden box. He carried it to the bed and placed it in her lap. Open it. Her hands trembled. Inside the box lay a silver necklace. At its center hung a moon-shaped pendant. Elara stopped breathing. It was identical. The same shape. The same design. The same mark on her shoulder. She slowly touched it. Why do you have this? It belonged to Queen Elena. Your mother. Her eyes widened. Whoa. The room blurred. This cannot be happening. Kael's voice softened. I knew your mother. The words hit her harder than anything else. You knew her. He nodded. She was my friend. She saved my life when we were young. She trusted me. She trusted me with something precious. He looked directly into her eyes. She trusted me with you. A sharp breath escaped Elara. Her fingers tightened around the pendant. You are wrong. I am not a princess. I am nobody. I am just Elara. Healer. A rejected Omega. A girl nobody wanted. Kael took one slow step toward her. Then why did my wolves bow to you? She froze. Then why did my son trust you the moment he saw you? She had no answer. Then why do you carry the mark of a bloodline that vanished 23 years ago? Silence. The fire popped softly. Her chest rose and fell. She suddenly remembered something. A dream. A strange dream she had seen many times. A woman with silver hair. A palace of white stone. Lullaby. She had always thought it meant nothing. But now. Her hands began to shake. I used to dream of a woman singing to me. Kael's expression changed. A song. Without thinking she whispered the words. A moon shall guide the child of silver. The king stepped back. Shock covered his face. That lullaby was only sung to the royal family. A chill ran through her. She looked at the necklace, then at the mark, then at him. Who am I? Before Kael could answer, a knock came at the door. A woman entered. It was Aunt Lyra. The moment she saw Elara holding the necklace, she stopped. The color drained from her face. My king. You found it. Kael nodded slowly. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She walked closer. Her hands trembled. May I see your shoulder, child? Elara hesitated. Then she lowered the blanket. The woman stared at the silver mark. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I remember this. I remember holding you when you were born. The room spun. You knew me. The woman nodded. I thought you were dead. She covered her mouth and cried. The lost princess has returned. The words echoed through the room. Lost princess. Returned. Nothing felt real anymore. Elara's heart pounded. Who am I? Kael looked at her with an expression she could not read. You are Princess Elara Ashbourne, the last heir of the Silver Moon Kingdom. The fire cracked. The wind howled outside. And Elara felt her entire life fall apart. Everything she believed. Everything she knew. Princess. A royal heir. Impossible. She stood too quickly. The room spun. Oh, cannot be. I lived as an Omega. People hated me. They called me cursed. Princess cannot live like that. Kael stepped closer. Someone hid you. Someone wanted the royal bloodline to disappear forever. A cold feeling spread through her. Because if you are alive, then someone stole your kingdom. Silence. Then suddenly there was a sound. Crash. A window shattered. Kael moved instantly. He pulled Elara to the floor. An arrow flew through the room and struck the wall. Another came. Then another. Screams echoed outside. Guards shouted. Enemies. Kael's eyes turned deadly. Stay here. He rushed toward the broken window. A black wolf exploded from his body. Huge. Terrifying. Golden eyes blazing. He leaped into the darkness. More screams followed. Elara's heart pounded wildly. What is happening? Lyra's face had gone pale. They know. Who knows? The people who destroyed your family. Another crash shook the palace. The doors burst open. A guard stumbled inside covered in blood. My king. Assassins have entered the palace. They are looking for the princess. The words froze the air. The princess. They meant her. Someone had just learned she was alive. And they had come to kill her. Someone had come to kill her. The thought froze Elara where she stood. Outside the room, steel clashed against steel. Wolves roared. Men screamed. The peaceful palace had become a battlefield. The injured guard leaned against the wall. My king is fighting in the eastern courtyard. The assassins are everywhere. Lyra grabbed Elara's hand. We must hide you. Hide. The word felt strange. Only moments ago she had learned she was a princess. Now strangers wanted her dead. She could barely breathe. Another crash shook the room. The door burst open. A man dressed in black stepped inside. His face was hidden beneath a hood. In his hand was a curved blade. His eyes locked onto Elara. Found her. Lyra pushed Elara behind her. Run. The assassin moved like lightning. His blade flashed. The guard stepped in front of Lyra. Blood sprayed across the floor. The guard collapsed. Elara screamed. The assassin smiled. A cruel smile. The last princess dies tonight. He charged toward her. She stumbled backward until her back hit the wall. There was nowhere to go. No weapon. No wolf. Nothing. The blade rose. Then something strange happened. Heat spread through her chest. A warm glow. Then another. Voice. Until. I'm here. Elara froze. Who said that? The voice came again. Have always been here. The assassin lunged. Pain exploded inside her. Not pain. Power. Silver light burst from her body. The entire room flashed. The assassin flew backward and crashed against the wall. Everyone became still. Even Elara. Her hands were glowing. Silver light danced across her skin. The air around her shimmered. The voice spoke again. I am your wolf. Tears filled her eyes. My wolf. For 23 years she had waited. 23 years she had believed she was broken. And now she was hearing her wolf for the first time. You are not broken. The words echoed inside her heart. You never were. The assassin stood again. Fear now filled his eyes. Impossible. The silver wolf. He turned and ran. He did not even try to fight. Before he reached the door, another figure appeared. A giant black wolf. Oh. He slammed into the assassin and sent him crashing to the floor. The man's scream lasted only a second. Silence followed. Kael shifted back into human form. His clothes were stained with blood. His golden eyes immediately searched for Elara. Are you hurt? She could barely speak. I heard her. He frowned. Oh, my wolf. Everything became quiet. Kael stared at her. Then a slow smile touched his lips. The first smile she had ever seen from him. You awakened. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I thought I had no wolf. He walked toward her. You carry the blood of queens. Your wolf was sleeping. Waiting. Waiting for what? He gently touched the silver light still glowing around her fingers. For you to remember who you are. Elara looked at her hands. The light slowly disappeared. But the warmth remained. Deep inside. Like a second heartbeat. Another voice suddenly echoed through the hallway. My king. Several guards rushed inside. The assassins are dead. Kael nodded. Search the bodies. Find out who sent them. One guard hesitated. There is something else. He held out a piece of black cloth. A symbol had been sewn into it. A silver serpent. The moment Lyra saw it, she went pale. Whoa. Kael's expression darkened. You know this mark. Lyra slowly nodded. I saw it once before. 23 years ago. The night the royal palace burned. A chill passed through the room. The same people. The same enemies. They had returned. Kael looked at Elara. Someone has been hunting your bloodline for decades. Me. 'Cause they fear you. Me. He nodded. The Silver Moon family possessed ancient power. A power that could unite every kingdom. A power that could destroy empires. Elara shook her head. I do not understand any of this. You will. But first you must become stronger. The next morning the palace looked different. Peaceful. As if no battle had happened. Yet guards stood everywhere. No one smiled. The danger was not over. Kael led Elara through the palace grounds. They stopped at a large training field. Warriors sparred with swords. Others shifted into wolves. The sound of steel filled the air. Why are we here? Because someone wants you dead. He handed her a wooden sword. And I intend to keep you alive. She stared at it. I know nothing about fighting. Then you will learn. For the first time in years she laughed softly. You truly believe I can become a warrior? I believe you are stronger than you know. The words warmed her. Training began. It was difficult. Very difficult. She stumbled. She missed every strike. Twice she nearly dropped the sword. Kael never laughed. Never mocked her. Again. That was all he said. Again. Hours passed. Her arms ached. Sweat covered her face. She wanted to quit. Then she remembered the village. The stones. The rejection. The hatred. Slowly she stood straighter. Again. Kael nodded. Days passed. Her body became stronger. Her movements became faster. At night she spoke to her wolf. The silver voice inside her mind. Her name was Luna. And every day their bond grew deeper. Then one evening Kael entered the training field carrying an old scroll. His expression was grim. What happened? Found something. He handed her the scroll. The paper was old and yellow. At its center was a drawing. A silver crescent moon. Beneath it was another symbol. Black Wolf. Her heart skipped. What does it mean? Kael looked into her eyes. It is an ancient prophecy. She unfolded the scroll completely. The last princess of silver shall rise beside the king of shadows. Together they shall reclaim the lost kingdom. Silence. A strange feeling passed through her. She slowly lifted her gaze. King of shadows. Kael said nothing. But his golden eyes never left hers. Before she could speak, footsteps echoed behind them. A guard ran into the field. His face was pale. My king. We searched the assassins. And we found where they came from. Kael's expression hardened. Where? The guard swallowed. Moonshadow Pack. The world seemed to stop. Elara's breath caught. Her former home. The people who threw her away. Someone inside her own pack wanted her dead. Moonshadow Pack. The words hung in the air like dark smoke. Elara could not move. Her former home. The place where she had laughed as a child. The place where she had been rejected and thrown away like dirt. The place that now wanted her dead. Kael took the scroll from her hands. Are you certain? The guard nodded. We found the symbol of the silver serpent inside a hidden camp near Moonshadow territory. One of the assassins carried orders. Orders to kill the lost princess. A cold chill ran through Elara. Someone in Moonshadow knew she was alive. Someone had known for years. She looked at Kael. Why would my pack want me dead? He did not answer immediately. Because your pack may know something about your past. The training field suddenly felt smaller. A memory flashed through her mind. Alpha Serena. The fear on her face when she saw the silver wolf pup. The hatred in her eyes. The speed with which she accused Elara of treason. It had happened too quickly. As if she had been waiting for an excuse. Kael noticed the change in her expression. What is it? Elara looked at him. When I found the prince and brought him back to my village, my alpha looked frightened. Not angry. Frightened. As if she had seen a ghost. Kael's eyes darkened. Tell me everything. So she did. She told him about Serena's reaction. About the sudden accusation. About the rejection. About being thrown out. When she finished, silence filled the field. Kael looked toward the distant mountains. Then he spoke softly. I think Alpha Serena already knew who you were. Elara's heart stopped. Well, that is impossible. Is it? You carried the royal mark your entire life. You lived inside her pack for 23 years. And she never once asked questions. He looked back at her. I do not believe in that kind of coincidence. The words hit her hard. For the first time she began to wonder. Had Serena always known? Had everyone lied to her? Before she could ask another question, Kael turned toward one of the guards. Bring the royal archives. An hour later they sat inside a large library. Tall shelves covered the walls. Ancient books slept beneath layers of dust. The air smelled of old paper and candle wax. A servant placed several heavy journals on the table. Kael opened the first one. These are records from the night your kingdom fell. Elara sat beside him. Her hands trembled. The pages were old and fragile. Some were stained with ash. Others with dried blood. She swallowed. Kael turned another page. Then he stopped. His expression changed. What is it? He slowly slid the journal toward her. At the center of the page was a name. Serena Blackwood. Elara frowned. Why is her name here? Kael's voice became cold. Because she was present the night your parents died. The room became silent. Well, she looked at the page again. There had to be some mistake. But the words remained. Serena Blackwood. Royal Advisor. Witness to the fall of Silver Moon. Elara's hands began to shake. She was there. Kael nodded. She served your mother once. The breath left Elara's body. She knew my mother. Then why did she never tell me? Kael closed the journal. That is the question we need answered. Another memory returned. She remembered being sick when she was 12. She remembered Serena standing beside her bed, watching her, not with kindness, with fear. At the time she had not understood. Now she did. Tears filled her eyes. My entire life was a lie. Kael looked at her quietly. Then he reached across the table and covered her trembling hand with his own. You were a child. None of this is your fault. The simple kindness in his voice nearly broke her. She lowered her head. I thought my parents abandoned me. I thought nobody wanted me. Kael's eyes softened. Your mother loved you more than her own life. How do you know? He became silent. For a long moment he simply looked into the fire. Then he spoke. 'Cause I was there. Elara looked up. I was in the palace on the night it burned. The room seemed to hold its breath. Your mother gave you to me. She begged me to protect you. Her voice was shaking. Take my daughter and run. Those were her final words. Tears filled his eyes for the first time. Failed her. The words came out like a whisper. I was attacked before I could reach the forest. When I finally escaped, the palace was gone. I searched for you for years. I believed you had died. Elara stared at him. All these years. He had been searching. All these years. Someone had cared. Tears slid down her cheeks. My mother trusted you. He nodded slowly. She trusted me with the most precious thing she had. Silence filled the library. Then another question rose inside her. How did my parents die? Kael's face became hard. They were murdered. The words cut through her. Murdered. Not killed in war. Not lost in fire. Murdered. Who did it? His jaw tightened. I do not know. But I know someone opened the palace gates from the inside. Someone betrayed your family. Someone helped the killers. Elara's chest tightened. And Serena was there. A knock suddenly echoed through the room. A guard entered. My king. There is someone at the palace gates. The guard hesitated. Damien Blackwood. Everything inside Elara froze. Damien. The man who rejected her. The man who broke her heart. Why is he here? The guard swallowed. He says he has come to beg for forgiveness. Silence. Then Kael slowly stood. His golden eyes turned dark. Elara remained motionless. 1,000 emotions crashed through her. Pain, anger, memories. She had once dreamed of hearing those words. Now she felt nothing but emptiness. The guard looked between them. Shall I send him away? Before anyone could answer, another voice echoed from outside. Please. The voice was broken. Desperate. Please let me see her. Elara's breath caught. Because for the first time in her life she had heard Damien Blackwood sound afraid. Please let me see her. Damien's voice echoed through the palace hall. Sounded strange. Weak. Broken. Elara had never heard him like that before. For years he had been proud and cold. He had carried himself like a future alpha who feared nothing. Now there was fear in his voice. Real fear. Kael looked at her. You do not have to see him. She should send him away. She should never look at him again. Yet a part of her wanted answers. Why had he come? Why now? After a long silence she stood. I will speak to him. Kael frowned. Are you certain? She nodded. Some wounds only heal when you face them. A few moments later the great doors of the palace opened. Damien stepped inside. He looked nothing like the man she remembered. His clothes were covered in dust. Dark circles rested beneath his eyes. He looked as if he had not slept for days. Then he saw her. He stopped breathing. Elara stood near the staircase wearing a pale blue dress. Her silver blonde hair fell over her shoulders and the moon pendant rested against her chest. She looked different. Brighter. Stronger. Almost royal. For a long moment Damien simply stared. Then he dropped to his knees. The entire room became silent. Elara felt her heart beat once. But there was no pain. No love. Only distance. I was wrong. His voice shook. I was wrong about everything. Kael stood beside her like a dark shadow. His eyes never left Damien. Why are you here? Damien ignored him. His gaze remained fixed on Elara. I came to beg your forgiveness. Elara looked at him quietly. Forgiveness? Tears filled his eyes. The night you left the village, everything changed. What changed? He lowered his head. The prince. The little wolf you saved. The next morning we learned who he was. The son of the Alpha King. The entire village panicked. Everyone realized you had saved a child. Not an enemy. Child. His voice broke. Then I learned something else. He slowly looked up. I learned who you really are. Silence filled the hall. You know. The whole kingdom knows. The lost princess has returned. Elara's fingers tightened. Damien swallowed hard. I rejected my own mate. I threw away the woman who was destined to become a queen. There it was. The truth. Not regret for hurting her. Regret for losing her. She saw it clearly. And somehow that hurt more. A small sad smile touched her lips. Would you have come here if I were still an Omega? Damien froze. No answer came. The silence said everything. Tears filled his eyes. I was a fool. Her answer came softly. You were. He looked as though she had struck him. I loved you. The words escaped before she could stop them. I loved you for years. I waited for you. I defended you. I dreamed about our future. Her voice trembled. Then one rainy night you looked into my eyes and rejected me in front of everyone. The memory filled the room. The rain. The stones. The broken bond. You did not protect me. You did not even ask if I was innocent. Tears slid down Damien's face. No. Well, you do not know. Her voice became stronger. You do not know what it feels like to lose everything in one night. To believe nobody wants you. To die inside while the people you love watch. Silence. Even the servants lowered their eyes. Damien bowed his head. I would give anything to change it. Cannot. He looked at her desperately. Please, give me another chance. A long silence followed. Then Elara took one slow step forward. When I was lying outside the village gates, I thought I would die. The only soul who stayed beside me was an injured child I had just met. Not you. Not my pack. Not my mate. She looked directly into his eyes. I do forgive you. Hope suddenly appeared on his face. Then she finished. But I will never love you again. The hope shattered. I release you from my heart. The words hit him harder than any blade. He stared at her in disbelief. You cannot mean that. Do. My old life ended the night you rejected me. A tear slid down her cheek. And I do not wish to return to it. Damien slowly sank back onto his knees. Everything was gone. The future he had imagined. The mate he had taken for granted. The girl who once looked at him with love. Kael stepped forward. Your apology has been heard. You should leave. Damien did not move. Then suddenly he looked up. There is something else. Everyone became still. I came because I discovered something terrible. Kael narrowed his eyes. Damien swallowed. My mother is hiding something. Elara's heart skipped. What do you mean? 3 nights ago I entered her office. Found old records. Letters. He looked at Elara. Your name was inside them. Cold silence filled the hall. My mother knew who you were. For years. Elara felt all the warmth leave her body. Well, she knew you were the lost princess. She watched you grow up inside our pack. And she feared the day you would discover the truth. Kael's expression became deadly. Else. Damien hesitated. Then he whispered the words. I think my mother had something to do with the fall of the Silver Moon Kingdom. The room seemed to stop breathing. Before anyone could speak, another sound echoed through the palace. Scream. Child screaming. Prince Rowan. The doors burst open. A guard stumbled inside covered in blood. My king. The prince. He has been taken. Everything exploded into motion. Kael grabbed the guard. Who took him? The guard could barely breathe. They wore the mark of the silver serpent. And they left a message. He looked directly at Elara. They said if the lost princess wants the child alive, she must come alone. Silence. Then the guard whispered the final words. They are waiting at the ruins of the old Silver Moon Palace. The place where her parents died. The place where her kingdom fell. And somewhere in those ruins an innocent child was waiting for her. The old Silver Moon Palace. The words echoed through Elara's mind long after the guard stopped speaking. For a moment nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Kael turned toward the doors. His golden eyes burned with fury. Prepare the army. The command shook the room. Guards rushed away. Servants scattered. The palace exploded into motion. But Elara remained still. Her heart was somewhere else. With Rowan. She could still see his bright smile. His small hands. The way he had hugged her when nobody else wanted her. Fear twisted inside her chest. He was only a child. And now he was in the hands of monsters. Kael moved toward her. You will remain here. Her head snapped up. Whoa. His voice became harder. It is too dangerous. They want me. The words came quickly. This is a trap for me. Then it is exactly where I do not want you. Elara stepped closer. And if Rowan dies while I hide behind palace walls? Silence. Neither of them looked away. For a moment it felt like the entire world had disappeared. Only the two of them remained. Finally Kael spoke. Cannot lose him. The pain in his voice surprised her. The king rarely showed emotion. But now she saw it clearly. Fear. A father's fear. Elara gently touched his arm. You will not. His eyes met hers. Something passed between them. Something quiet. Something deep. Then she smiled softly. We bring him home together. Kael stared at her for several seconds. Then he nodded. Together. Hours later an army marched beneath the moon. Thousands of wolves moved across the valley. Black banners danced in the wind. Torches burned like rivers of fire. At the front rode Kael. Beside him rode Elara. She wore silver armor for the first time. The moon's symbol rested over her heart. Every warrior who looked at her bowed their head. Not because she was a princess. Because she was becoming a leader. The journey lasted until dawn. Then they saw it. The ruins. The old Silver Moon Palace stood broken against the horizon. Shattered towers reached toward the sky. Burned walls stood like ghosts from another age. Nature had swallowed most of the kingdom. Yet pain still lingered there. Even from a distance Elara could feel it. This is where I was born. Kael looked at her. This is where everything began. The army stopped outside the ruins. Scouts rushed forward. Moments later they returned. Their faces pale. My king. There are thousands inside. Kael frowned. Thousands. Not assassins. Soldiers. The words hit like thunder. A hidden army. An entire army hiding in secret for decades. Waiting. Preparing. Elara felt cold. Who are they? The scout swallowed. They wear the silver serpent symbol. The same symbol carried by the assassins. The same symbol tied to her parents' deaths. Kael looked toward the ruins. This was never a kidnapping. It was the beginning of a war. Before anyone could answer, horns echoed across the valley. Ancient. The gates of the ruined city slowly opened. An army marched out. Rows of armored warriors covered the ground. Thousands, maybe more. At their center stood a woman. Elara immediately recognized her. Alpha Serena Blackwood. The woman who had destroyed her life. The woman who had watched her grow up. The woman who knew the truth all along. Serena smiled. The sight sent chills through everyone. Well done, princess. You finally came home. Kael stepped forward. Where is my son? Serena laughed. Always straight to the point. The child is alive. Now. Elara's hands clenched. Let him go. Serena's eyes shifted toward her. There you are. The lost princess. The child I should have killed 23 years ago. Gasps spread through the battlefield. Even Kael became still. The confession hung in the air. Cold. Terrible. Serena smiled. Did you really think your parents died by accident? Elara felt her heart stop. Serena nodded. Open the gates. I led the killers inside. I watched your kingdom burn. The world seemed to tilt. Kael's warriors growled. Several reached for their weapons. But Elara could hear nothing. Only Serena's voice. Only those terrible words. I watched your mother beg for mercy. Tears filled Elara's eyes. I watched your father die. And I would have killed you too. The battlefield became silent. Then Serena pointed toward the ruins. Bring him. Several soldiers emerged from the broken city. Between them walked Rowan, the little prince. His hands were tied. His face was dirty. But he was alive. The moment he saw Elara, his eyes brightened. Elara. Her heart broke. Rowan. The child struggled against his captors. They hurt Aunt Lyra. They hurt everyone. Serena grabbed Rowan's shoulder. Enough. Fear flashed across the child's face. Kael took a step forward. Release him. Or what? Serena smiled. You cannot win today. Then she raised her hand. The ground began to shake. A distant roar echoed across the mountains. Every warrior looked toward the horizon. More banners appeared. And more. Then hundreds more. An even larger army emerged from the forest behind Kael's forces. The royal army was surrounded. Trap. The entire rescue mission had been a trap. Kael's generals cursed. Soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons. Fear spread through the ranks. Serena laughed. For 23 years I built this army. For 23 years I waited for the lost princess to return. And now everything ends. The sun slowly rose behind her. Red light covered the battlefield. Looked like blood. Elara looked around. Thousands of enemies. Thousands. There was no escape. No retreat. Only war. Then something unexpected happened. One of Kael's commanders rode forward. He removed his helmet. Serena smiled. At last. The commander's sword suddenly turned toward Kael. Gasps erupted. The entire battlefield froze. The commander bowed his head to Serena. My queen. Elara felt ice spread through her veins. Traitor. One of Kael's most trusted commanders had betrayed them. And judging by Serena's smile, he was not the only one. The commander's sword pointed at Kael's heart. The entire battlefield fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The man slowly raised his head. His face was hard. Without shame. Without regret. For 20 years I served you. But I always served her. He looked at Serena. My queen. A cold smile spread across Serena's face. Well done. Kael stared at the man. General Marcus. One of his oldest commanders. One of the men he trusted most. You betrayed your kingdom. Marcus laughed softly. Well, I chose the winning side. A low growl escaped Kael's throat. The sound sent fear through nearby soldiers. But Marcus did not step back. He moved his horse beside Serena. Then another commander did the same. And another. 3 banners suddenly turned. 3 entire divisions rode toward Serena's army. Gasps spread through the battlefield. The royal army was breaking apart. Fear moved through the soldiers like poison. Elara looked around. Faces she had seen smiling only yesterday now looked uncertain. Terrified. Some lowered their weapons. Others looked ready to flee. Serena knew exactly what she was doing. She was destroying hope before the battle even began. Her voice echoed across the valley. Look around you, princess. Your kingdom is already mine. She smiled. Your parents lost. You will lose too. The words struck Elara like arrows. For one terrible moment doubt entered her heart. Maybe Serena was right. Maybe this war had ended before it even began. Then she looked at Rowan. The little prince stood among enemy soldiers. His small face was pale. But when he saw her, his blue eyes filled with trust. He still believed she would save him. That trust lit a fire inside her. Well, she had spent her whole life being afraid. Being weak. Being unwanted. Not anymore. Slowly she rode forward. Kael looked at her. Elara. She kept moving. Serena laughed. Do you wish to surrender? Elara stopped in the center of the battlefield. Wind moved through her silver hair. Her voice was calm. You lied to me my entire life. The laughter faded. You watched me suffer. You watched me cry. You watched me believe I was nothing. Silence spread. Then her voice became stronger. But I am not nothing. A strange light appeared in her eyes. I am Elara Ashbourne, daughter of King Aldrich and Queen Elena, the last heir of Silver Moon. The wind suddenly changed. Clouds moved across the sky. The ground trembled. Everyone looked around in confusion. Serena's smile disappeared. Whoa. Elara's heart began to race. The warmth inside her chest returned. The same warmth she had felt when her wolf awakened. But this time it was stronger. Much stronger. The voice of her wolf echoed inside her mind. It is time. Silver light burst from her body. The entire valley glowed. Soldiers shielded their eyes. The sky seemed to split apart. Power rolled across the battlefield like a storm. Elara gasped. Images flashed through her mind. A silver throne. Ancient queens. Crown. Voice. You are their daughter. You are their strength. You are their future. The silver light wrapped around her like living fire. Her hair shone. Her eyes became bright silver. Everyone stared. Even Serena stepped backward. The Silver Queen. She whispered the words in horror. Kael looked at Elara as though he were seeing a legend come to life. The stories were true. The ancient bloodline had awakened. Elara slowly raised her hand. The silver light moved with her. Every warrior wearing the moon symbol suddenly felt warmth spread through their bodies. Their fear vanished. Their wounds began to heal. Hope returned. One by one they straightened. One by one they lifted their swords. The soldiers who had doubted now looked at her with wonder. Their queen had returned. A loud cry rose from the army. Queen Elara. Another followed. Then another. Soon thousands of voices echoed through the valley. Queen Elara. Queen Elara. Queen Elara. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time in her life people were not looking at her with hate. They were looking at her with belief. Serena screamed. Kill her. Arrows filled the sky. But before they could reach Elara, the silver light expanded. Every arrow turned to dust. Gasps spread through both armies. Impossible. Serena looked terrified. Elara pointed toward Rowan. Bring him to me. The ground shook. Silver energy rushed across the battlefield. The soldiers holding Rowan were thrown aside. The ropes around the child snapped. Rowan ran. He ran as fast as his little legs could carry him. Elara. She opened her arms. The prince crashed into her and hugged her tightly. I knew you would come. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Promise. A roar suddenly echoed across the valley. Kael shifted. The giant black wolf leaped forward. The royal army charged behind him. War exploded. Steel clashed. Wolves roared. The earth shook beneath thousands of running feet. Elara placed Rowan behind several guards. Stay here. The child grabbed her hand. Be careful. She smiled softly. Always. Then she turned toward the battlefield. Toward Serena. The woman was already retreating. Coward. Elara ran after her. The ruined palace swallowed them both. Broken halls stretched into darkness. Ash covered the floor. The place smelled of old fire. Serena finally stopped in a large chamber. Moonlight entered through the broken ceiling. You should have died as a baby. Elara's silver eyes glowed. You should never have touched my family. Hatred twisted Serena's face. I built everything. I waited 20 years for power. I will not lose to a girl. She pulled a dagger from her sleeve and charged. The fight was fast. Wild. Steel flashed through the moonlight. Elara blocked one strike. Then another. She had trained. She had changed. She was no longer the frightened Omega from Moonshadow. At last Serena stumbled. Elara knocked the dagger from her hand. The weapon slid across the floor. It was over. Then a terrible roar echoed outside. Elara froze. A guard burst into the chamber. His face was covered in blood. "The queen. The king." The words caught in his throat. "The king has fallen. The king has fallen." The words struck Elara harder than any blade. For one heartbeat she could not move, could not breathe. Then she ran. She ran through the ruined halls of the old palace. Her boots pounded against broken stone. Her silver light flickered around her like moonfire. Behind her Serena laughed. "Run, little princess. Run and watch another person die." Elara ignored her. She burst out of the palace. The battlefield had become a sea of smoke and fire. Wolves fought beneath the red sky. Soldiers screamed. Steel flashed. Then she saw him. Kael lay on the ground. Blood covered his black armor. Several guards stood around him fighting desperately. A spear lay beside his body. It had pierced his chest. The world suddenly became quiet. "Mo." The word escaped her like a broken prayer. She dropped beside him. "Mo." His eyes slowly opened. Golden. "We." Yet the moment he saw her he smiled. "You are safe." Tears filled her eyes. "Do not speak." She pressed her hands over the wound. Blood slipped between her fingers. "Warm. Too much. You cannot leave me." His hand slowly lifted and touched her cheek. "You became a queen. You did it." Her tears fell faster. "I do not want a kingdom if you are not here." The words escaped before she could stop them. A strange softness appeared in his eyes. For a long moment he simply looked at her, as if he had waited years to hear those words. Then another scream echoed across the battlefield. "Serena." She stood atop the palace steps holding a sword. Her army had begun to retreat. But she was smiling. "The king dies. The queen cries. And I still win." Rage exploded inside Elara. She slowly stood. Silver light surrounded her. The wind rose. Clouds moved across the sky. Every soldier stopped fighting. Every eye turned toward her. She looked like a goddess of moonlight. Serena took one step back. "Mo." The silver light became brighter. "Mo." Elara's eyes glowed. "You murdered my parents. You destroyed my kingdom. You stole my life." The ground shook. "You hurt everyone I love." The palace walls trembled. "And today it ends." Serena screamed and charged. The final battle began. Steel met steel. Silver against black. The two women circled each other. Serena attacked wildly. Her strikes were full of fear. Elara moved calmly. She blocked, turned, stepped aside. Every lesson Kael had taught her flowed through her body. Then Serena lunged one last time. Elara caught her wrist. The sword fell from Serena's hand. Silence spread across the battlefield. The villain looked up. For the first time in her life she looked afraid. "Please." The word sounded strange coming from her. "Please. You showed my mother no mercy." Elara's voice was quiet. "You showed me no mercy." Serena's knees shook. "I only wanted power. And now you have none." Elara raised her hand. Silver chains of light wrapped around Serena. The woman screamed. The soldiers watched in silence. The people of Moonshadow watched too. The same people who had thrown Elara into the forest. Now they looked at her with shock. With regret. With shame. Elara turned toward them. "I was your healer. I was your daughter. I was your friend." Her voice carried across the battlefield. "You called me cursed. You called me weak. Yet when I needed you most you abandoned me." Many lowered their heads. Tears filled the eyes of several villagers. Elara looked back at Serena. "This woman taught you to hate. This woman lied to you. This woman murdered a kingdom." She pointed toward the ruins. "Your true enemy was never me." Silence. Then one old woman stepped forward. She had once received medicine from Elara. "Forgive us." Another voice followed. "Forgive us." Then another. Soon the battlefield was filled with weeping. Even Damien stood among them. Tears covered his face. He looked broken. He looked lost. Elara's heart felt strangely peaceful. Not happy. Not angry. Simply free. She no longer needed their love. She no longer needed their approval. Because she finally knew who she was. Queen. Protector. A daughter of silver. The silver chains tightened. Serena screamed one last time. Then the light faded. The woman collapsed. Her reign of lies was over. A cheer slowly rose from the royal army. Then another. Soon the entire valley echoed. Queen Elara. Queen Elara. Queen Elara. But Elara was already turning away. She ran back to Kael. He still lay where she had left him. His breathing had become weak. Too weak. She dropped beside him. "Well, not after everything. Not now." The voice of her wolf echoed inside her. The blood of queens does not only destroy, heals. Elara looked at her hands. Silver light still glowed around them. She placed her palms over Kael's wound. Nothing happened. Then she closed her eyes. "Please, do not leave me." The light suddenly blazed. Power poured from her heart. Into him. Into the wound. Minutes passed. Then slowly the bleeding stopped. The torn flesh began to close. Kael took a deep breath. His eyes opened. Golden and bright. Elara laughed through her tears. "You scared me." A soft smile touched his lips. "I seem to do that often." Without thinking, she threw her arms around him. He held her tightly. Neither of them spoke. Neither needed words. The war was over. The sun slowly rose above the mountains. A new day had begun. 3 weeks later, the great hall of Silver Moon shone with thousands of candles. The ruined kingdom had come alive again. Banners of silver and black hung from every wall. People from every pack filled the palace. They had come to witness history. Elara walked slowly toward the throne. She wore a silver gown that sparkled like moonlight. A crown rested in Kael's hands. He stopped before her. His golden eyes never left hers. "The kingdom chooses you. People choose you. And my heart chooses you." A soft gasp filled the hall. Tears appeared in Elara's eyes. Kael gently placed the crown upon her head. "Long live Queen Elara." The hall erupted. "Long live the queen. Long live the queen. Long live the queen." Then a small voice rose above everyone. "Mother." Silence fell. Elara turned. Rowan stood at the bottom of the steps. He looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry. I did not mean to say it." The child lowered his head. "I just wish you were." Tears filled Elara's eyes. She walked down the steps and knelt before him. Then she pulled him into her arms. Rowan smiled. At that moment, an old royal seer stepped forward. She looked at the child. Then at Elara. A smile touched her ancient face. The prophecy was true. Everyone became still. "What prophecy?" The old woman bowed. The Silver Queen would not only restore the kingdom. She would become mother to the child she saved in the storm. Silence. Then Rowan's face lit up. "Really?" The old woman nodded. Kael looked at Elara. Elara looked at Kael. And for the first time since that terrible rainy night, they both smiled. Because the rejected Omega who had been cast into the darkness had gained something far greater than a kingdom. She had found a family. And this time, they would never let her go.